and we appreciate you so much. And you in turn should also appreciate us, because we are all on the transcendental platform. And Prabhupada in response said, no, he said that, no, not this philosophy of you are good and we are good. Prabhupada said, no, we are good and you are bad. So that is the situation, what to do. This Mayavad philosophy is not just a mild variety. There are some who like a different type of pakoras. No, it is really diametrically, systematically opposed to Krishna consciousness, and little by little destroying the whole creeper of faith. First of all, they are known as Mayavadis, those who are adhering to the philosophy of illusion, because they state that Krishna is illusion. They say Krishna doesn't exist, and therefore devotional service doesn't exist, and they say Golok Vrindavan also doesn't exist. That's why it's so distasteful, because these are the sources of the greatest ecstasy for the soul. These are the sources of actual fulfillment. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kabunai Savanadi Sudha Chitta Karya Udai. This, or as Srila Prabhupada liberally translated, this Krishna consciousness is not an artificial imposition on the mind. It is the natural state of consciousness which is not artificially imposed by chanting Hare Krishna. Therefore the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is not a form of brainwashing, where one tries to get the mind into an artificial state, and assume by constantly repeating this hypnotic sound, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and then, but as soon as you stop it, you snap out of it. Don't we? But it is not brainwashing. It is not at all brainwashing, this chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but rather it's awakening our natural Krishna consciousness. Of course, because we are fast asleep, we don't wake up immediately, and therefore in the initial stages, one can be in Krishna consciousness as long as one chants, and as soon as one stops, one snaps out of it. But if one actually is coming to the awakened state of Krishna consciousness, then one will always be Krishna conscious, always. Like Srila Prabhupada used to say, you can fall down, but I cannot. And Prahlad in his prayers made a similar statement. I'm not at all afraid of the material energy, but he was concerned about all those suffering, conditioned souls. Well, back to Ravindra Sarup's seminar. It was interesting because Ravindra Sarup then started to trace out, after he dealt with the Vedic origins and the Vedic philosophy, which I very shortly now touched upon. Then he moved on and he started to trace out Mayavad in the West. And in Germany there was a famous philosopher in the 1700s who was banned from the church because he preached Mayavad, basically that we were God. Meister Eckhart, he was a very well-known philosopher. And then it came to more recent times. And then he came to Aldous Huxley. Right? And Aldous Huxley was interested because Aldous Huxley was like the hero of the hippie generation. And virtually speaking, when Prabhupada came to the West in 1965 and established ISKCON in 66, at that time when Prabhupada was preaching, he was preaching to a generation of people who all had read Aldous Huxley's books, because Aldous Huxley was an LSD prophet. He was one of the early guinea pigs. But he was completely adhering to impersonalism. And then it came in further and further. There was a famous, one of the first hippies who really went to India to take up Indian philosophy and came back as a sadhu, was an American named Richard Alpert, also known as Ramdas Baba. And Ramdas Baba was like absolutely famous, and you could say one of the founding fathers of the hippie movement, together with Aldous Huxley, with Jack Kerouac, and Ramdas Baba. These three were like the founder acharyas of the hippie movement, of which I happen to have been part. What can I say? The day when the Beatles came to Holland, that was the last day we ever went to the barber. As a nation, as a generation, never again. I was there at that time. Well, but little did we know that we were spoon-fed with impersonalism, and that all our heroes were simply impersonalists. And little did we understand that we were becoming completely overwhelmed by it. And we saw it coming back in songs of the Beatles. I am me as you are he, and we are all together. I'm the walrus, and so on. That's impersonalism. I am me as you are he, and we are all together. That's perfect Mayavad. So Mayavad has widely penetrated into the Western society, not only through that hippie movement, but also particularly through our own Western culture, where it existed. So Ravinder Swarup seminar was extremely interesting because he pointed out how we actually were all, we realized, yes, we are the Mayavadis. After that seminar, you look in the mirror and say, my God, I am a Mayavadi. To be a personalist takes tremendous effort. It takes tremendous effort to everywhere see a personal deity. We have often made fun of India, with all due respect to the representatives from India. The Hare Krishna movement has often made fun of India for its demigod worship. That in India, on an altar, everybody is on there. That there are, that the altar is too small, just like an Indian bus, and that practically the deities are hanging off the side of the altar. That's the joke. I mean, don't mind. It's just a joke, no attempt to be disrespectful. But the point being that so many gods have been worshipped, has often been seen as a form of bewilderment. But we should understand that it is also a form of personalism. And to accept that there are so many deities and respectable personalities that are controlling all the various forces of nature and universal affairs on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is in one sense, a step upward from impersonalism.